I call upon you, therefore, brothers, through the compassion of Elohim, to present your bodies a living offering, set apart, well-pleasing to Elohim, your reasonable worship. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah and Day 2 of Vayikra. There has been a long history of misconception, misunderstanding about the altar of sacrifice. Can you imagine with me the Jews in Israel, the Levitical priesthood is raised up. They're functioning by some means of construction of the tabernacle, the temple, whether it's the whole house or just the altar or maybe even the foundation stone. But nonetheless, the Levitical priests began to offer again animal sacrifices on the Temple Mount. Can you imagine the world outcry? PETA adherents would absolutely lose their minds. World organizations of a long list would begin to cry out against the bloodshed and the loss of innocent life, animal abuse, and the list would go on. My friend, that's going to take place. Let me give you a word of warning that I received myself a couple of years ago. When that temple is raised up and when those offerings begin to take place, do not, again I said, do not speak against it. Because it is the anti-Messiah, as we read about in the book of Daniel, is the one who puts a stop to that practice. Lest you partner with the anti-Messiah, the Antichrist, do not speak out against the altar. You may not understand it, but don't speak out against it. Let's continue on. So the altar of sacrifice, the altar of offering, is the first place that you encounter once you enter in through the courtyard gate. And it is here, the altar that is made of acacia wood and overlapped with bronze that has a grate upon it, that has a ramp that walks up to it, where the priests walk with your offering of meat and they lay it upon the grate and it is consumed. The fat is burned and offered up unto Yahweh. There are 5 principal offerings in the first 5 chapters that comprise Vayikra as a Torah portion. There is the Olah, the ascension offering. We call it an elevation offering. It's what Rav Shaul referred to in Romans 12 and verse 1 that I just mentioned at the opening of a whole offering, a burnt offering. The entirety of what is presented is consumed in flames. There's the Mincha, a meal offering. There is the Shelamim or Zevakim offering. That is a peace offering. The priests get a portion, the fat is burned to Yah, and the presenter takes a portion home. And then there's the Kata'at and the Asham offering, the sin and the trespass offerings. And only the Levitical priests are allowed to partake of that portion that is saved for them. So these 5 offerings all detail for us the various works of Yeshua. But let's examine the word offering, or we may call it sacrifice. These are English translations of the word korban. And the word begins in chapter number 1 and verse number 2. Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when any one of you brings an korban, an offering to Yahweh, you bring your offerings of the livestock, of the herd, and of the flock. It is this word korban that is grossly misunderstood. When we consider the idea of an offering, that is that which we have deemed expendable among that which we have, and we take that and we present it as an offering to Him, much like we look in our wallet and decide, am I going to give a 1, a 5, a 10, a 20? If I have a 50 or 100, would I dare go that high in presenting a monetary gift to Yah? Sacrifice. It seems to denote that which we can't afford to let go of, but we give nonetheless. Neither one of these really give us a proper understanding of the word korban. The word korban here means a near approaching. It is the means by which you and I draw near or are allowed to draw near and to approach the Most High. Now that changes everything. This is not about killing an animal. This is not about the shedding of blood directly. This is about our desire to approach the Most High and deal with Him pertaining to whatever the subject at hand is. Either a desire to be elevated closer to Him, a thanksgiving offering, an offering to signify I am aware that you are my sustenance and my supply. I have a sin that I need to deal with, a trespass between myself and another individual. These things are related to the animal, and then the animal is presented. Now, one would say, well, why should an animal have to die? Again, there's a misunderstanding about the mechanism and the function of the altar of sacrifice. It's not about a place to burn up a dead animal. It's not even about a place to necessarily shed blood primarily. This altar is a place of transformation. Here is where a common animal that has been deemed select, unblemished, perfect in form, filled with life and filled with potential, is brought. It's not that his throat is cut and the blood is drained unnecessarily, and it's not that that practice is primarily about killing the animal. The focus here is not to kill an animal, but to release the life that is in the animal. Blood, the life is in the blood, the word says. And so when the blood is let out of the animal, it is the life force of the animal that is being brought forth. Only the Levites have the right to hold the basin and collect the blood. No other individuals, no other groups, no other body is allowed to do this on the earth. Whenever a Levitical offering is to be offered, only the Levites, only these are allowed to catch the blood. The blood is then serviced. It's either splashed against the altar. It is used by some means as an atonement work to atone for the various instruments in the Mishkan, the tabernacle that is on Yom Kippur. The blood has a service. The animal then is brought to its various parts and presented for specific reasons. Now, the word says here, if you were to bring it from the livestock of the herd or of the flock. Very quickly, let's analyze this. The livestock is behema. It represents the animal instinct that is aroused primarily and focused primarily on procreation and daily survival. I'm going to get what I need. I'm going to find the food that I have to have, and then I'm going to procreate. And of course, procreation in our day has degenerated into a very lustful agenda. And so the animalistic desire of us is what is being addressed. We see this very, very easily now in our current society and the coronavirus issue. People are running and hoarding, crying out, I'm going to get mine. I'm going to survive. You're not going to take food away from me. And they're already talking about the coronials, the next generation that would be born 9 months from this particular issue. Then there is the bakar, the cattle. It is the same spelling for the word bocher, what we call mourning. Both speak about that which breaks through, that which cleaves open. As the sun's rays break into the morning, so the cattle is those who break through, who know no boundaries. And then there is the son, the flocks, the herd mentality. Whatever everyone else is doing, that's what we should do. When we present these elements of ourselves, for we identify with the animal that is laid on the altar. When we present ourselves and we identify with these mentalities, we're getting rid of our herd mentality and realize I have been called to be set apart, separate, and a unique individual in the earth. I'm getting away from my freedom lust to where I will be willing to live within the confines of the word of the Most High and walk obediently in his commands. And I'm taking my animal instincts and rising higher to live by the Spirit and not the flesh. A quick synopsis here. Hope you enjoyed that. More about these things tomorrow. Until then, shalom.